Sony just announced their latest flagship phone, the XZ2. And it kind of feels a little like Sony catching up to the rest of the manufacturers, but I mean that in a good way. It is definitely a much smaller bezeled device than what we're used to from Sony, and I have to admit that I like the glass on it. It does look kind of sexy. Now, Sony was kind enough to give me a little bit of time with the device before it was launched, and so I figured I would try to do a complete walkthrough for you guys in that limited amount of time. Now, if you're not familiar with my complete walkthroughs, basically it's me trying to go through every single feature of a new device, whether it's a phone or a tablet or a laptop, whatever, so that anyone that's interested in maybe buying a said device has all of the information they could possibly need in one video to make a better decision. So, let's get started. So first up, the styling. The device is made out of this 3D Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back, which Sony says follows their ambient flow design language, which gives it this almost liquid look, which I have to agree with and also kind of like. And encased in a metal frame. They also managed to make it completely symmetrical, including the cameras on the back and the fingerprint sensor placed in the middle of the device, a place that they say is easy to get to, and in a short time that I had it, I actually agree with that. The XZ2 has a 5.7-inch 18:9 screen with thankfully much smaller bezels at the top and the bottom than we're used to from Sony, like I mentioned. The resolution is FHD+, and it is HDR capable, and not only that, but Sony says it'll also upscale SDR content from a lot of places to HDR as well. So in other words, you know how we have like 4K TVs that upscale HD content to the higher resolution of 4K? This is supposed to take SDR content, so standard color depth and everything, and bring it up to the much higher color depth HDR. The device is IP68 certified and will come in black, silver, pink, and green. I love the green. On the front, we have a 5-megapixel camera and a 19-megapixel rear-facing one on the back. This rear-facing one is also capable of shooting proper 4K HDR 10-bit in Rec 2020 video thanks to the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 paired with 4 gigs of RAM that's inside the XZ2. That's what's powering this thing, which by the way I did a video on not too long ago that you can check out here for more info on what that 845 means. Suffice it to say though that means that it can shoot proper HDR, much higher color bit depth and contrast video, something that actually a lot of $2,000 to $3,000 real cameras can't even do. Now Sony has also put in their super slow-mo from the last XZ, but again, thanks to that 845 in there, they've managed to bump it up to full 1080p at 960 frames per second instead of the 720p at 960 that they had before. Now keep in mind though that this again is only for a split second, just like the last device. The phone has front-facing dual stereo speakers that are capable of high-res audio and S-Force surround sound. There's also a built-in DAC, albeit no headphone jack. The DAC can be used with USB-C devices, however. Now to complement the high-res audio, Sony added a new vibration engine. It's basically a much larger motor that Sony has adapted to utilize low frequencies coming out of the audio automatically and vibrate accordingly. Think of it as kind of vibrating along with the bass and kind of adding to that kind of experience. It also, if a game has haptic engine stuff already built into it, it'll actually use that for this vibration motor as well. Our demo for that was Angry Birds, in which the vibration motor gave the sensation of tension on the rubber band of the slingshot when it hit into stuff, etc. Other than that, it gives just one hell of a vibration notification. Now that vibration motor, by the way, can also be turned down or off or whatever you want to do. Now on the left side of the device, we have nothing. On the right, we have our volume rocker, power button, and a dedicated camera button. At the top, we have our SIM card and microSD card slot. And speaking of SIM cards, the XZ2 supports gigabit LTE with peak download speeds of 1.2 gigabits per second using MIMO 4x4, etc. Again, I have a video on this. I'll link below for those interested on how gigabit LTE and all that fun stuff works. And it also has a battery that is 3180 milliamps in size, and it is Qi charging capable. Now on the software side, we're running a slightly skinned version of Android, which is called Xperia that I found to be super smooth actually during the demo at least, and we have Google Assistant as our AI that, thanks to the low-powered codec from Qualcomm Sony is using, has always-on listening even if the screen is off and doesn't use any power. So you can say things like, "Okay Google," at any time, even with the screen off, and it'll bring up your voice assistant, unlike a lot of other Android phones out there. The camera app has a few added modes over the stock one, including an AR sticker mode, which allows you to drop creatures, etc. into your world, creative effect, which allows you to add real-time effects to your shots, bokeh, which, as you can imagine, helps with creating the depth of field look that you can then alter and adjust, panorama, which lets you do panoramic shots, of course, and sound photo, which allows you to take a photo that also is a short clip of sound attached to it. We also have a few apps that Sony added to the device, so we'll go through those really quick. Quick caveat though, these were pre-production devices, so what I'm about to show you is what was on those. It may differ depending on your region, etc., etc. First, we have a 3D scanner, which, while the results were only slightly creepy and made me question whether I had a double chin, I really don't feel like I do, but maybe. They were really accurate and super quick to grab. You can just move the phone around your head easily and it'll map it to a 3D model that you can then use for emoji or other novel things like that. You can even do a couple of passes to get it to do a better job. Then we have the Xperia Lounge, an entertainment content hub that Sony has. There's a Sony Assistant, which is thankfully not another Google Assistant competitor, but more just kind of a knowledge base for tips and tricks about the device itself. AVG Protection, which is an antivirus software that doubles as a battery and storage optimizer. Xperia News, which is a news hub that Sony has. The PlayStation app, duh. A highlight app to quickly create movies from photos on your device with music, etc. Sketch, a mobile drawing and photo editing app. Side View, a remote control app for your TV. And Prime Photo from Amazon. Now in the settings, they've kept it pretty stock, but have a few additions that are kind of useful, like Xperia Actions, that allows you to set actions to happen depending on circumstances, i.e. keep the notification lights off when you go to bed. They also have their own theme store in the appearance settings. Xperia Loops, that is an animated background to show battery level and other status indications, once you figure out how to read it, that is. Xperia Assist, which can give you device tips or notify you about things like missed calls, and Xperia Intelligence Engine, which attempts to learn from you and change settings depending on the situation automatically. A support section for contacting Sony, Stamina Mode and Ultra Stamina Mode for making your battery last longer, Battery Care, which notifies you when to unplug the device and other things to make your battery last longer. If you want to enable that and have it annoy the crap out of you, that's up to you. And Smart Cleaner, which helps you clear storage, caches, etc. And there you go, pretty much everything I could figure out while I had a very limited time with the device. But let me know what you guys think of the phone or of these complete walkthroughs. I think you guys like them, you seem to like them, so I'm still doing them, but let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you did like it though, please thumbs up it or share it. It is greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to check out the rest of my channel. If you like what you see there, please subscribe as well. Also greatly appreciated. Regardless though, as always, thanks for watching.